welcome to your kitchen, Danys Healing Kitchen. I am Danny, and today I have a very special guest. Together we're going to talk about high quality protein and why animal foods are the best way to get that protein. But more than that, we're going to focus on amino acids, but more on that later on the show. My guest is a nutrition therapy specialist and a personal trainer and a Pilates trainer as well. She has more than 15 years of experience. She's going to talk about fitness and nutrition, and she's going to give us some very, very good nutritious snacks and recipes later on in our show. She was the one who introduced me to all this craziness, and because of her and her advice and her guidance, I was able to help my son since he was an infant out of his failure to thrive diagnosis since he was 6 months old. So she holds a very special place in my heart, and I'm so honored to have her here. Please welcome Jenn Pantall to our show. It's really an honor to have you here, Jen. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
How are you today?
I'm great. I'm excited.
So can you tell us, I'm going to start here soon, but can you tell us, just so people know what you're going to make us in a little bit? We're going to switch back and forth, but can you tell us what you're going to make?
Sure. I'm happy to. You asked me to come on and talk about healthy snacks and foods to eat that will help support physical activity. As she said, I'm a personal trainer, but I'm also a nutrition therapy practitioner. So I know the importance of fueling your body properly for exercise and after exercise and those kind of things. So I'm going to talk about a food that can be used as breakfast, lunch, snack, pre-workout, post-workout, nighttime dessert, any of those kind of things. And it's all revolves around chia seeds. Danny's absolutely correct with the animal sources of protein having the best amino acid profile, but sometimes it's helpful to mix in some plant proteins. Absolutely. And chia seeds are a great way to do that. They also have healthy fats and a good source of fiber. So we're going to talk about two different recipes, one being a chocolate based and one being kind of a pumpkin spice. So
nice.
That's what we're going to work on today.
I can't wait to see it, how it tastes, and I love that. I love chia seeds. I put it on my shakes every morning, so I can't wait what you do, and I think I'm going to try to do that as well on my daily routine. But for now, as I said before, we're going to focus not just on protein. So for the purpose of this show, every time I mention amino acids, know that it's the protein that I'm talking about. But for the purpose of this show, I am going to say amino acids instead of protein. The reason of that is because we use the word protein very broad and very vague, because most of us, everything has protein. Plants and everything is made out of protein. But what we need, there are 22 amino acids in total, which is make up what we eat as protein. But 9 of them, our bodies cannot make it. And we need those in order to function properly. Every single system in our bodies, our organs, our cells, need them to function properly. So plants usually have a not very balanced compound of them. So high quality animal proteins do have all 9 of them. And we need them in order to function properly. Some of them, and I'm going to mention it as I go, but some of them might cause a lack of some, might cause some allergies like wheat and potatoes and even corn and berries. And so if you have any symptoms like that, please know and look into ways to incorporate those, or even an amino acid complex supplement. And talking about that, make sure that you do not supplement just one, because if you just take one, it can throw off balance all the rest. So for starters, I have a dish that I love this dish. I actually just created like 2 days ago, and I already have my skillet going, and I have some onions and some mushrooms. And you all know, if you have watched my shows before, you know how much I love mushrooms. They really help us to keep our immune system strong. So I have some onions and some mushrooms. This recipe is very, very basic. It's very, very easy to make. I'm going to add some ghee. I love ghee or coconut oil. Either way, it's fine. I love to cook with these. I would not cook with olive oil just because olive oil is better to eat when it's cold and not heated. So as you all know, I love mushrooms and I love onions. And so these, I'm just going to cook it very lightly until it's done. And I have some ground beef right here. And I chose ground beef on purpose today because ground beef is one of my favorite protein sources. And I know it's super controversial because people say that red meat, it has a really bad reputation. But I love it. And I feed it to my kids and I feed it to myself because it's not only, it doesn't only include all the 9 amino acids. It has a really good balanced way to feed our bodies. It has really good fat. It has everything that we need to make us even feel full longer. So I love to eat red meat. Don't be afraid of red meat, especially, and I'm gonna say this because this is super important. Just not red meat. I would not eat conventional red meat from a conventional store. I would only eat grass-fed red meat that is, if you know where it's coming from a local farm place, that's even better. But if it is organic and it says grass-fed on the label, it's even better. I already took my label off of this one for the purpose to being faster, but the label said grass-fed. So if you have the option to buy locally, that's even better where it came from. But if you need to buy it from a store, make sure it says organic or in grass-fed. So that way, all the vitamins and minerals that it contains, the conventional one would not have that at all. So make sure that if you want to get the right amount, if you want to feed your body properly, make sure that not just this meat, but even chicken and any other animal protein you're getting is really high quality. And that's what we mean by high quality. It has to be like fed completely, it has to be outside in the sun. The sun gives the nutrients and the minerals to everything, including the animals and the plants we eat. So make sure that whatever you get and the animal proteins you get, they're being outside, they're being fed from whatever they're meant to eat, whether it's grass, whether it's worms like the chicken. So make sure you get that. So that's why I chose this. And I want to mention while this is cooking that some people are allergic to red meat. And I'm going to mention here 2 amino acids and why they play a big role in that. So there is this amino acid methionine. That methionine is linked to having meat allergies, fat allergies, and even in cosmetics allergies. So you might want to look into maybe if you are allergic to meat, that you might be lacking this amino acid and also the 309 amino acid. That one is linked to fat allergies and milk fat allergies as well. So make sure that if you have allergy, there are many reasons why you could be allergic, but the lack of these amino acids could be one of them. So, and I do want to mention, like I said before, like if you're going to supplement, if you need just one of them, make sure it's for a very little period of time, but it's better in a complex form as a supplement. So I'm going to let this cook for a little bit. And I just want to mention that the 2 amino acids that I said before, like the methionine is a sulfur compound and it acts as an antioxidant in the body. So whatever you get, like onions that has sulfur, like onions and garlic, those are going to help you to absorb and to act as a methionine in the body. Methionine, it also helps with protein synthesis. So that's why it's very important that we get it. So while this cooks, I am going to pass it to Jenn. So she's going to show us everything that she's doing while this is all being done. So Jenn, please go ahead and tell us and show us what you have right now.
Yeah, and thank you. That was a great description of the importance of grass-fed meat. That was very informative. Thank you. So what we're going to talk about here is chia pudding. This is something that can be made, and we're going to stir it into a bowl today, but you could make it in a food processor or a blender. It just needs to, if you're going to stir it up or even in a food processor, it's best made and then allowed to sit like in the refrigerator overnight or something like that to really set up. The texture when we pour it into the bowl today, when I mix it up, it's going to be kind of wet, right? But then I'll show you what it's going to look like afterwards. It's going to be more solidified. You can see this chunk that was taken out. My daughter loves this stuff, and she took a spoonful of both flavors this morning. So what I'm going to start with today is the chocolate version. So we have chia seeds, and then you have to have some sort of liquid. So there's a bunch of different flavor varieties for chia pudding, but you always want to start with the chia seeds and then you need some liquid. Chia seeds actually absorb 9 times their weight in water, so you want to have a good amount of liquid. I'm going to stir the liquid ingredients up first, and then we'll add the chia seeds and stir it in so that it doesn't splash around too much for you. So this is a coconut milk. Here is the can. Sometimes it can be separated, so you want to stir that up first to make sure that the liquid and the fat is all kind of mixed together. It's a wonderful, healthy fat, and it also gives a really good, creamy consistency and flavor to the pudding. So we're going to use about a cup of the coconut milk. Okay, and then we're going to use about a cup of, I have almond milk here, and if you use cow's milk, that's fine, or any type of milk that you prefer. I know some people prefer cow's milk or almond milk or oat milk. That's all fine. You're going to use about a half a cup of this. Whoop. So I'll pour it in there. And
Jen, I have a question.
Sure.
Can they use yogurt instead, or yogurt is too thick?
That's a great question.
Or kefir, like milk kefir or anything like that. Can they use?
Sure. Yogurt is a little thicker than the milk kefir.
Yeah.
So milk kefir could be used in place of the milk.
Yeah, okay.
And the yogurt, especially if it's a Greek yogurt and it's thicker, could be used in place of the coconut milk, and that would actually be higher, especially if it's Greek protein, it'd be higher in protein.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So I'm just going to stir this up a little bit. And then I have honey. I'm going to add a little bit of sweetener. This is a honey that actually my stepdad is a beekeeper, so I'm very fortunate to know exactly what these bees made their honey from. And that's important. If you can get honey locally sourced from your area, it's really good for allergies and the immune system. But even wherever you get the honey, make sure that it's pure honey. I've seen a lot of things in the grocery store that say like honey product, and you read the ingredients and it's sugar or corn syrup that's colored. So make sure that you're using real honey. You're just going to use a couple of tablespoons.
Do you need a spoon?
I have a spoon right here. Just pour a little bit in there. Okay. And the coconut milk has a natural sweetness, so you don't need too much of the honey. So that's our liquid ingredients. I'll stir this up, and then we're going to add the chia seeds. So we use 1/3 of a cup of chia seeds, and I'm going to eyeball it here for you today. So if you can see in here, chia seeds are like little black seeds, kind of like little black pearls. They're small, but they do absorb a bunch of water. And then I'm going to add, it's about 1/3 of a cup or 1/4 of a cup of cocoa powder. You want to make sure that it's not sweetened, that it's more of a baking cocoa powder and it's not like hot chocolate that's already got the sugar in it. So we want to use baking cocoa, about 1/4 of a cup of that. Okay. And then I love cinnamon. Cinnamon has great antioxidant properties. We're going to add, it's like a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon to that, give a little flavor there. And then just a pinch of salt. Salt quality does matter. So you want to use a good kosher salt, or this here, if you can see there's a pink tint to it. This is pink Himalayan salt, high in trace minerals, electrolytes, and really good for you. I use this stuff for everything. So you're just going to add a pinch of that. And like I said, it's pretty liquidy, so you're going to stir it up gently just to get it all incorporated. And then you'll let it sit overnight in the refrigerator so that it comes, spilled a little bit there. Stir gently. Okay. So just get it all incorporated. Wipe some of this off the spoon here. Okay. So like I said, chia seeds are high in protein, but they're also really high in fiber. So this pudding, when it sets up, becomes very filling, and it's a great snack or breakfast, post workout, even dessert at night. So the chocolate turns out, again, with the spoonful missing out of it, just like, it tastes like chocolate mousse, actually. It's delicious.
I was going to say, it looks like a dessert, actually.
Yeah.
It looks like a dessert, like you're just going to like kind of eat it for dessert.
Right, and you could dress it up a little bit. I like to add, I have some slivered almonds here. Crunch is an important taste factor. It helps you to feel satisfied. So just adding a few slivered almonds to it, or you could add some berries, something like that would make it a little fancy, right? But would be a great dessert.
Jen, I love this chocolate pudding recipe. Really, I think I'm gonna be making it from now on. I really enjoyed it. Do you have one more for us? I know you had the pumpkin one, so.
Sure, yes. This is kind of a pumpkin spice. So if you're into that pumpkin spice flavor, this is a pumpkin spice version. And it's very similar ingredients, but you want to make sure that you use pumpkin and not like pumpkin pie filling or something like that, just pure pumpkin. And then I do use a pumpkin pie spice and some vanilla extract in there. I find this is really yummy with like some pomegranate seeds, something like that on top. So this is another recipe, another variation.
I have a question. So Jen, would you recommend, because I know I used to make some sort of granola, or do you recommend people add granola to that? I used to do something similar, but I added, the main base was granola, and I just added some chia seeds on top.
Sure.
So would you recommend adding things like that on top of what you already did?
You could absolutely add a little bit of granola on top of it, something like that, for, again, like we did with the slivered almonds, for some crunch. That would be a great addition.
Okay, perfect. I really love that. Thank you so much. And we're going to be with you in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to finish this recipe that we have right here. As I said before, this is kind of a casserole, but it also comes out like a type of lasagna. So what I have right now, and I didn't mention at the beginning, so I apologize for that, but I had actually spaghetti squash here, and I already cooked it at home. I baked it in my little toaster oven. I baked it for about an hour at 200 degrees, and it came out really soft. So if you can see, it's really soft, but it's still a little crunchy, and I really like this recipe. This has, since spaghetti squash is already sweet, and this is already salty, it gives a really, really good texture. And for those of us who love creamy, I love creamy, and you want something soothing at night or even at lunchtime. So this is a creamy recipe, and it's super fast. So what I'm gonna add is, I'm just gonna add some coconut milk, and like Jen said, she did some coconut milk as well. And this one has wort gum. I usually do not like to buy. There's some coconut milk that says no wort gum in it, but this one did have it, and you know, it's okay. We gotta have a balance, right? So this is a very creamy. If you can see, I really love this recipe. This is very creamy, and we're just gonna add some salt. So we can add, this is like the first layer type of thing. And we're gonna add some salt and some pepper and mix it up very well. There we go. We're just gonna mix very nice. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our ground beef on top of this. We're not gonna mix it, we're just gonna add it on top. And what's gonna happen, we're gonna put it on the oven about 375 degrees or 400. And so the high temperature is gonna kind of dry up a little bit the sauce of it, and it's gonna create a really good balance between sweet and salty kind of meat. This one right here, I added some tomato sauce already, and I added some curry powder and some cumin as well. So this right here, I think it's already done. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add it right now to my, to my spaghetti squash, and right here. So when my kids actually tasted it, one of them really liked it, and the other one is more like, it's pickier, and it was the first time I made it, so he did not really like it. And this recipe is gonna be for tonight's dinner at the house. So we'll see how it goes tonight. But as of me, I ate it the next day for lunch and dinner. I really, like I said, I love creamy, soothing dishes, and I don't always eat like that, but I ended up really liking this one. So I hope you get to try it at home and make any variation you want. If you don't want any spaghetti squash, if you have anything else, you can absolutely substitute that. And then before we put it in the oven, we are just gonna add my favorite thing ever. Isn't this some sort of like very, very, how do you call it? Like, I forgot the word for it, but you wanna eat it all the time. So we're gonna put cheese on top. So cheese is so addictive, but that's why we all love it, right? So I'm gonna finish up right here, and I'm gonna throw this in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes at 375 degrees. And I'm just gonna let it cook right there. But for now, we're gonna go to our Q&A segment with Jenn. We're gonna talk all about fitness and nutrition, and she's gonna advise us on things to do before and after our workouts. So stay tuned, please. We'll be right back. Welcome to our Q&A segment, and I'm so excited because Jenn is here with me, and she's gonna talk about, like we said before, all about fitness and nutrition. But before I go to her, I want to mention, since this show is all about amino acids and why they are so important to us, I wanna mention 3 that are really, really important for muscle function. So they are called the 3-chained brain amino acids, and they are the isoleucine, leucine, and the valine. Those 3 amino acids together, they work kind of not the same, or each of them have their own functions, and they're gonna appear on the screen. But in general, they are really good for muscle repair and muscle function. The 3 of them really work well for blood sugar levels, to maintain into functional the blood sugars in our bodies. So I love those 3, and I would love you to see and play around. I know I've heard some stories that people who either have headaches after workouts, and if they supplement with those 3 amino acids, they have a better time, repairing muscle and dealing with our bodies, because it's a stress response after working out. So I wanted to mention them very quickly, but we're gonna go straight and ask Jenn. Hi, Jenn, welcome again. So I wanna ask you a few questions. I know you're so knowledgeable in this area. You've been here for more than 15 years, and you have a really huge amount of knowledge in this. So please tell us just basic recommendations about working out, snacks, and before and after, and things that you have seen, like mistakes people usually make in whatever nutrition and fitness related are. So please go ahead, go at it.
Sure. One of the questions that I get frequently, and you may be wondering yourself,
Yes.
and everybody else may be wondering at home, what do I eat before or after workout? What's the right thing, and when to eat? And truthfully, and you do such a beautiful job in Danny's Healing Kitchen with this, eat whole food.
Yeah.
Truthfully, the more whole food you eat, balanced meals between proteins and carbohydrates and healthy fats, and you don't really have to worry about special pre-workout or post-workout meals. But that being said, before you work out, and anybody that is into exercise, you don't want a heavy meal on your stomach. You want something light and something that's easy to digest. So you can imagine, if you're exercising in the morning, you're not going to eat a huge omelet, because that's not going to sit very well, but a hard-boiled egg might be okay. And then thinking about a carbohydrate and fat combination could be a banana or an apple and some peanut butter or
That's
some
my favorite,
almond butter here.
Yeah.
And this is delicious. One of the things to keep in mind if you're using almond butter or peanut butter is to read the label. There's many claims on the front that'll say all natural and things like that, but you really want to look at the ingredients. The ingredients here, raw, organic almonds, okay? You want to avoid ones that have added oils or sweeteners or things like that. So those are great choices. And then after your workout, it's really the same thing. But it does kind of depend on the type of workout that you're going to do. If you're doing heavy strength training, you really want to prioritize those branched-chain amino acids and getting a good quality protein. It doesn't have to be right after either. A lot of people stress, oh, I have to eat within an hour of my workout. Not really. If you eat a meal within a couple of hours after your workout, you're going to replenish the muscles, you're going to replenish the energy. So that would be just fine. Another thing that I'll get sometimes, and my son is running in high school track, and runners will often say, I need to carb load.
Yeah.
No, No. Physiologically, it just doesn't work. It's not effective. The other thing with that, if you can imagine how you feel after, say, a big spaghetti dinner, you don't want to go out and exercise even the next day.
Yeah.
Digestive issues, and it's just not the best idea. So like I said, whole food, balanced meals is plenty. I do get some questions about snacks, okay? What kind of snacks to have pre or post, or say you're going to exercise and that you haven't eaten for a few hours and you don't want to eat something heavy. Portion is important. When it comes to nuts, like almond butter or peanut butter, or trail mix kind of stuff is a popular thing, but portion is important. So here is an individually packed portion size of almonds, and here's a trail mix that comes in an individual bag.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's great. And this is also good too because it's got a mix of different types of nuts and dried fruit and doesn't have any added sugar. A lot of times trail mixes will have like candy or something in them, and you kind of want to, every once in a while is fine, but you want to avoid those things generally. These are great to keep in the car, keep in your purse, put in your kid's backpack, those kind of things. One of my favorites when people ask, what is the best protein bar? Meat. Meat, right? And get good quality. This is a grass-fed beef stick, and this is a free-range turkey. Again, looking at the ingredients, this one doesn't have, neither of these have any sugar added. Many of them, the teriyaki flavors or different flavors, will have a lot of sugar, and you want to avoid those. But then there are some granola bars, and I see Danny has a favorite that she's brought here.
I just found that, and I loved it because the ingredients are very clean, and you can actually name them. You don't have a hard time like me, pronouncing in English is awful for some things. And so the fact that I can actually pronounce the ingredients of these specific snack bar, I loved it. And they're really easy. They do have honey, and I think they also have maple syrup, but I'm okay with it. Like in a case of an emergency, even if I'm running errands, I love these snacks. Yeah.
That's great. That's exactly what I was going to say. Again, you don't want to go by the label on the front. You want to be an informed consumer and read your ingredients on the back. Make sure they're ingredients that you can pronounce and that you would recognize. They don't sound like something isolated or concentrated, made up in a lab.
Yeah.
And then looking for a good quality of protein, this one here has 12 grams of protein in the bar. It's got egg whites, almonds, cashews, dates, and no BS, it says. So that's all that's in this bar. And there's different flavors and different varieties. Choose a brand that works for you and your budget and read the ingredients, and that would be a good snack.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate that you came here and joined me so much. And you can follow me for anything and to follow the whole recipe at Dani Bourbon Nutrition in Instagram and on Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. And please come back later. Thank you so much.